Customer Service Award for highest client ratings, D Magazine's Best Realtor, 5-star Professional Award, and several other recognitions for her success and service to clients. Join her each week as she meets with the top community influencers to help you get to know the area you want to call home. Don't just love your home, love your community. And now, here's your host, Kimberly Woodard.
Good afternoon, viewers. Happy New Year! Yay! It's 2020. Can we believe that? I can't. Wow. Oh, my goodness. So today's episode is a jump start for the new year. I have my guest here, Gina Bolanos, is here, and she's a therapist, and we are going to talk about how do we keep those New Year's resolutions on straight, and we're going to talk about health for your mental health. And just, a new 2020. Thanks, Gina, for coming.
Absolutely. Yay. Thank you so much for letting me be here.
Oh, definitely.
What a fun thing to do.
This is going to be a fun, exciting afternoon talking about this. And, again, I'm so excited. It's 2020.
Oh, exciting.
The roaring 20s is what we like to call it.
Wonderful.
So, Gina, let's talk about you. And let the viewers know a little bit about yourself.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So I'm a licensed professional counselor supervisor, and I'm in Dallas and in Allen.
Yes.
And I work with kids and adults, and I provide family counseling, couples counseling, marital counseling, and I work with kids, like I said.
Yes. Wonderful. So your job is busy.
It is busy. It is busy.
It's a busy job. And you help a lot of different people. It sounds like, from, different needs, whether it's, child and couples and, just individuals.
Absolutely. So the clients that I work with a unit. So if I work with a child, I'm working with a parent. And I'm also working with the school.
Okay.
A child spends most of their life in school. And if I'm working with an adult, I'm not just working with what they're doing day to day at home, but also what's happening in their career, what's happening in their personal lives, what's happening in their dating lives, what's happened in their family history. So definitely I really take a very holistic look with every client that I work with, which a lot of times that's why I end up working with families and couples. So I work with something called family systems counseling. So I look at the entire system that's going on in someone's life.
Wow. Well, this is, this brings us to our topic today of really, we just done the whole holidays. And, because Thanksgiving was so much later, we had so much going on in November and December, and now we're at January. And it's like the train is running and running, and now it's stopped.
And now it's stopped, exactly.
So many of us, we get to that point, and we're just like, oh gosh, what do? We go into that depression. There's, it's like post-holiday blues.
Absolutely. So much builds up going into the holidays, and stress and excitement, and everybody anticipating a break. And then finally you get past the holidays, and then there's this lull for different reasons. But one of the things that I let my clients know is how in January, this really isn't the time that we get right back into our routines. This is a time of decompression. This is a time to just be able to, heal and relax and to just decompress from post-holidays. And it's really not until the end of January and the beginning of February where we really start to work on and stay on track with our goals. So starting on January 1st with our New Year's resolutions, it's not always very realistic to be able to be consistently following them to the T, after 2 days in January.
See, so viewers, if you haven't made your list of what your resolutions are for 2020, it is still plenty of time.
Absolutely.
You got it from the key woman here.
Absolutely.
And so, so many people do. I mean, they make these resolutions. They get all excited. It's a new year, fresh start. They get started, and then we kind of stop, or we kind of let it slack a little bit, and then by March, April, they've all gone through the door.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about how can we keep on track. What are some tips that we can keep ourselves on that mental track?
Sure. Well, one of my favorite quotes is that life is a journey, not a destination.
Oh, I love that.
So if we are focused on an end goal of literally a goal as being what will make us happy, then it means that everything before that is failure. And so we don't get to enjoy the successes along the way, and we don't get to really notice the progress. And so I really want to remind people how important it is to enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, instead of just being focused on the destination.
I like that approach, because I think that is a key. I agree with that, because so many people think of that end goal, but then they miss out on everything. You miss out on those steps, and it's, even when people are, I would say, working out and weight loss is, always, that's one of the number one resolutions. Everyone wants to, lose all that weight that, they maybe put up a couple pounds over the holidays for all that yummy food. And you don't enjoy each day and the progress that you've made, and maybe you're taking in some new habits.
Sure, there's
and you're
so
forgetting
much that happens along that journey, where if you miss it, you miss these important pieces that actually, if you were more in tune with, they may actually help you. They may drive your goal to different directions and different paths. But if you miss it, then you stay so focused on the end goal, and sometimes when we get there, we're really not always that happy. Right. Because that's not really where we wanted to be. That's not really where we needed to be really in tune with ourselves. Right. So life is a journey. That's, an important piece. Yes. And then the second one is being able to set just a really concrete goal. And so if we're setting a really concrete goal, it's specific, but it should also be related to what will make us happy. Okay. So sometimes that's fitness, sometimes that's career goals, sometimes that's relationship goals, sometimes it's self-care. Right. It can be different things, maybe financial goals. Right. And so if I were to say, my goal is to be happier, well, that goal isn't quite specific. Right. It's not measurable, and I don't know if it's necessarily achievable. How would I be able to track that progress of I'm happy? So something that I like to encourage, clients would be to have somebody to help keep you accountable in setting some of those goals. Okay. So let's say it's a fitness goal. Yes. Sometimes it helps to work with a personal trainer, for example, who can actually help you set a realistic goal. And they can help keep you accountable. They can show you how to, track your progress. Right. Or a nutritionist with your dietary goals, or maybe seeing a counselor to set some goals with your relationships. But, counseling may not be for everybody. Yeah. And maybe working with a personal trainer or a nutritionist isn't necessarily, something that we can afford, or something that, will be right for everybody. So, but regardless of who you're working with, if you can make sure that that goal is something that's really concrete and it's measurable and it's achievable. Yeah.
So, well, that makes sense, because otherwise it's just something that's just floating out there, with no accountability on, and at least with your fitness, you're accountable. So even if you can't afford, maybe to hire that personal trainer, maybe you get a buddy, maybe you get a friend that, you guys meet at the gym, and it puts both of y'all accountable. Because I always find that if I'm meeting someone there for something, I'm going to be there. I'm not going to let them down, because that's in my schedule. That's an appointment. And I think that's, the other thing is that you've got to set an appointment for yourself. Absolutely. And so whether it's, your fitness, maybe you're trying to change up your nutrition. So set an appointment to study some different things, study some different recipes, learn some different things about that. But really set that appointment time for yourself. And absolutely. We are so busy, I feel like in life we get so busy that we forget about ourselves. And, that's, the mental part, that we were talking about, is your mental health is just as important as your body, health, fitness and eating. Sure. So absolutely. It's definitely important to be really in tune with, what makes you happy with yourself. And then having somebody to help keep you accountable, but, just that piece about making it sure that it's something that you can keep track of, and it's very specific, and you have a plan in place. Right. And, it's definitely hard to stick with something whenever it doesn't feel very rewarding. When you feel motivated, you want to keep doing it. Yes.
So, definitely changing our perception of success makes a huge difference. So,
definitely.
So sometimes I'll go to the gym and I'm not completely present, but I'm going. And it's okay that sometimes, I am, not 100%, because staying track on a goal doesn't mean that every single day, you have 100% feeling after your workout.
Right.
It's not a destination, it's a journey. So every day can look different.
At least you've done it. You can say, I was there. And I think also it becomes a habit and it becomes a routine for you. So once you start doing things, it's that repetition.
Absolutely, and that takes some time.
It does. And I always say, just like when you're memorizing something or you're learning something or you're promoting something, you have to repeat it so many times. It's no different with your routine. You've got to continue it, that it's just is something that it's just a normal part of your day. And you just, I know for myself, if I don't do my workout on those certain days, I'm off. I am off. Like, I know that I'm going to the gym on Tuesday. And then I know I'm going to, play tennis on Wednesday. And if I don't that day, I have to figure out something in between because my body feels off. I need that. I crave that.
Sure.
So
absolutely.
Well, I love these, tips, because these are great tips, especially as we're sitting down, today on the 1st of January. It is a letdown day too. I always feel like January 1st, we've just had a great New Year's. Some people maybe just let down because there was too much party celebration the night before, but, or whatever you were doing. We usually have a low key one of just family night and, game night. And, so nothing crazy out there, but it is, it's just that day, but you can kind of sit down and make your goals and really, what is important? What do you, is there something you want to change, this year? Or maybe, and not, I will also say, maybe not change, but maybe become better at. I think that's another thing. I think we forget that. We always think of it that you have to change something, but you don't. You can maybe get better at something.
Sure, absolutely.
Or do more of something.
Yeah, and sometimes it's maintaining something that you've already been working on. Sure.
Right. No, and I love those things. Now let's talk also, people get into, because of the holiday letdown, people really get into a depression. And sometimes you don't know that person is really in that state of mind, because maybe it's that bubbly person that you see, in front of your, in front of your TV or whatever, but they actually are struggling. What are some key things that maybe, maybe it's your coworker and you see them in one face, but, deep down they're struggling. Is there stuff that we can, signs that maybe we can, read on people that may be dealing with something?
Well, I definitely think that, individually being able to identify your own baseline so that you can see where the lows are, and then where where you're in a place of happiness and positivity, that's definitely a nice place to be able to gauge where you are. Okay. So sometimes you can get a sense of that from your coworkers because if you spend so much time around them.
Right.
But really, just kind of the main piece is seeing a change. Okay. If you see a change, then there must be some contrast between what you're seeing and where their baseline is.
Right.
And so, whenever that happens, it doesn't hurt to reach out and to let people know that you care, to let people know that you're there if they want to talk, to, just be able to listen.
Yeah.
One of the things that we want to do is to give advice and problem solve.
Right.
However, as encouraging and as heartfelt as that is, it actually can drive a person to sort of a different place of maybe shutting down or being defensive, not wanting to be perceived a certain way.
Right.
So actually just listening instead of giving advice.
Now,
it's very effective.
I agree with that. In my profession as a realtor, ironically, I go into your role many times.
Sure.
And so, sometimes I'll sense that someone is having, there's something just not clicking. There's something that is, I can tell, there's something going on in their life that maybe they haven't said anything to anyone. And then all of a sudden I'm the one, because I just listen. Sure. I sit back and I listen to them and I let them air, and they know that whatever, they tell me is confidential, just like, they're telling the counselor.
Absolutely.
But sometimes it's, and then it makes sense of, this piece and this piece. But, people deal with different struggles. And it may be something, is, struggling to them, that they have something going on at work that they really don't want anyone else to know. But, they're able to use me as an outlet that, hey, this is what's going on. That's why my head's not in this right now. It's because I've got this going on. Sure. And they don't want to tell their family, or they don't want to tell their spouse at that time because they're intimidated, scared, things like that. You just never know.
Yeah, absolutely. And, unfortunately, there can be a negative stigma with working with a therapist, working with a counselor. Yeah. I have a counselor. I love her. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I definitely like to really normalize that with my clients.
Yes.
And, we see medical doctors for preventative care. So sometimes even just having a therapist who already knows you that you can go to if there, it is a tough time that you're going through.
Right.
That's really nice, as opposed to finding a therapist whenever everything is feeling really, really tough, for whatever reason.
Right.
But, I definitely like to share that with other people that, counselors are there, and
right.
And that you don't have to see somebody if you are completely just, in a really, really low place. You can see a therapist for preventative care.
Right.
You can see a therapist just to let them know and to help you stay on track with maintaining goals.
It's like anything else you do.
Absolutely.
It's like, meeting with your trainer or meeting with your, doctor, for your annual visits. Sometimes,
Sure.
mental health is another thing you've got to stay in check with. And so it's part of your care.
Absolutely.
So if you need to, you think you need that, mental check, Gina would be happy for you to contact her.
Absolutely.
And we'll have her numbers and everything. Whether it's yourself, or maybe you have a family member, or maybe you have, someone, just someone in your life that you needs a little check, Gina would be happy to assist them. And so, let's wrap up with giving maybe a couple, New Year's tips as we're, approaching this, we're here. I still am like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's, 2020. And I think the 2020 thing is what is so, you never thought, you always, that 2020 was always a buildup. It was kind of like 2000.
Sure.
The 2000 year was a buildup. I think 2020 is kind of a buildup. And, if we look at, 100 years ago, we had the roaring 20s, what's all going to happen with this 2020. So I think there's a lot of expectations. Which of course brings on some stress. So how do we deal with, all these expectations that, even though we have our checks, how do we deal with that? Deal with, kind of that part of our life.
Yeah, well, I definitely think it's important to breathe. And just reminding ourselves that we're human.
Yeah.
And we go into this new year and just being prepared for realistic expectations, like the part of January. January is not easy.
No.
We are decompressing. We're processing what just happened. We don't want to look at our bank account from all of those expenses.
No.
We're cleaning up our home. We're
Right.
relaxing from, trying to decompress from travel.
Right.
We're unpacking our bags. We're putting away our Christmas tree that sometimes can take,
that's
a month
like,
or so.
yes, that's a good 30 days
A
right
whole
there.
other piece. So there's a lot of catch up and relaxing to do in January. So just keep that in mind.
Yes.
And also change or maintaining change or setting goals is not something that happens overnight.
Right.
And there's even a medical model that has to do with change called stages of change.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty interesting. So the first part of that is pre-contemplation. We haven't really, thought about what we want to do to change. Maybe it's just slightly on our radar, like exercise. Maybe that's something that would be nice. And then contemplation, we know we're really thinking about making that change.
Right.
And then we start planning on it. And then we take action, and then we maintain it. So that, that could take some time, and maybe somewhere around 2 months to be actually in that maintenance place.
Okay.
So it could be that January we are pre-contemplative and then contemplative. In February, we're kind of more in that planning and action place. And then maybe in March, we're in maintenance. So kind of keep that in mind.
Okay. That's a great tip, because I feel like people jumpstart it so fast. It's like running a race. You start off at the starting line and you sprint, and then you get lugged, and then by the time you're like crawling to the finish line.
Sure, you lose steam as you go along.
And I feel like, and sometimes, why I like your approach to it is that people start that and then they fall off. And they take that, and when they fall off, they feel like they just can't get back.
Sure.
So if someone does, fall off and they, what is that tip to get them back on track?
Sure. Well, I mentioned before about making sure that those goals are really concrete and very specific. So whenever you look at that plan, your plan isn't just what you can do to be successful. Your plan is actually including like a relapse prevention. Yes. So you're really thinking about, plan A would look exactly like this. Right. Plan B would be realistically knowing yourself, this could happen, but this is how I'll recover. Okay. Plan C, this could happen, this is how I could recover. So I really kind of think about that more in that planning phase. Okay. So that's kind of that February kind of piece is really kind of, falling off the wagon and kind of getting back on, but where you have kind of planned it. And then, of course, reaching out to other people. So I think the part of accountability really helps, having somebody who's aware of your plan and letting them know what you need from them. They may need to check in on you. They may need to go with you to the gym.
Yes.
Maybe if you're on a diet, you get rid of certain treats that, you can do without. But also being realistic and letting yourself be human. And I think kind of including in your plan that sometimes you're going to fall off, and letting that actually be a part of your plan and enjoying the journey. And, reminding yourself that it's not just the destination that will be success. It's everything that you do along the way and everything that you learn about yourself.
Well, I love that. And I love that approach to it, because I really think, you've just inspired me. So I hope she's inspired you guys too, guests, as you're sitting there looking at your news resolutions. I can't even say it right now. And for 2020, and don't be discouraged. It is a journey, and so I think that's a great approach. Well, yay! Well, cheers to 2020.
Right.
Thank you, Gina.
Happy 2020. Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
And cheers to y'all.
Thanks for tuning in to Community Cocktails with Kimberly. If you'd like to contact Kimberly with your real estate needs, you can reach her at kimberlywoodard.ebby.com. Hope you enjoyed our guests this week. Tune in every first and third Wednesday of the month for insights from industry leaders in your DFW area. Remember, don't just love your home, love your community.